Hi everyone, it's Keren from Health, Food and More out here sharing the herbal lore with you, or the herbal love with you today. This is a really common plant. Again, probably won't need much introduction. I think most people will know this one. It's Rosebay Willowherb, also known as fireweed, and I'll go into that in a little bit more detail afterwards. But Rosebay Willowherb is just at its absolute prime right now. So we're just at the beginning of July in central Scotland. And this is a remedy that has a long tradition of use in herbal medicine. Not one that we use a great deal in herbal clinic now, although we are seeing a bit of a revival with it. But traditionally it was used mainly for digestive upsets because it is an astringent remedy. And astringent remedies work by toning and drying up secretions. And so the traditional indication for Rosebay Willow was for treating summer diarrhoea in children. Now, I would read summer diarrhoea in children as being an upset tummy from maybe eating too much fresh produce and fresh fruit. So it will just gently dry up secretion in the gut and calm down, you know, loose stool or irritated tummy. The way that we can tell whether a plant is an astringent or not, if you know your ID and you know it's not something that's going to poison you, you can take a small amount of the leaf, hold it in your mouth for a few seconds and chew on it. And what you'll find is that if it's an astringent herb, it'll start to dry your mouth out. If you can imagine what happens when you have a really strong cup of tea and it's been overbrewed, it's got high tannin levels in it, and you'll feel that same sort of sensation of things starting to pucker up. So these plants like Rosebay Willowherb have got a very gentle astringent action. They're not going to over dry the digestive system, but they will just check back if there's an upset tummy. Now, I said earlier on about it being called fireweed, and it gets its name fireweed because it was the first plant to appear after the Blitz during the Second World War. So buildings were bombed down, there were fires, and then this would be the first sign of life coming back again. And so you'll often see it being the first plant to appear after there's been a fire somewhere. It's very, very common throughout the UK, and one that we could use both medicinally and we can have in our diet as well. In Russia, what they do is they take rosebay willow leaves, they ferment them. So basically to ferment them, you would just bash them up and leave them to brew for a few days, not in liquid, just in their own juices. So bash them, leave them for 2 or 3 days, and then dehydrate them. And what you have is an alternative to regular tea. So when tea was in short supply, this is something that could be used. I mentioned it being a revival in herbal medicine, and what's happening is that medical herbalists are now using the astringent properties of this plant not to treat the digestive system, but to actually treat enlarged prostates. So it helps to tone the prostate gland, and it's one that you'll find in prescriptions to try and reduce a benign prostate enlargement rather than a malignancy, but one that can very gently astringe and improve function for men as well. So very versatile, incredibly common, and one that you can very safely experiment with. But I'd encourage you to go out and try it and make a tea out of it and give it a bash. Just something that's there for free and something that you can enjoy. Happy foraging!